On day 3, Yokozuna Takanohana dropped out with an injured shoulder, although his stable boss announced he will come back again in a couple of days. Injuries continue to take their toll. Are the wrestlers overweight and undertrained, as some of the Oyakata claim, or is the sumo rougher than it used to be? Some say it's the stricter Tachiai rules that lead to harder collisions. Others say their stomach muscles are weak, or their schedules are too busy. One chief referee said it was the excitement of Yokozuna Takanohana returning to the ring that livened up the sumo too much. A lot of thought is going on in the sumo world on reducing the injuries. One suggestion is to change their food regime so as to make them less fat. Start of day 3, we have 4 wrestlers in the lead with 3 straight wins: Asashoryu, Kotoryu, Kaiho and Takamisakari. On to our first bout of day 4. Takanotsuru, 171 kilos, fights Kobo at 134. Takanotsuru looks remarkably like Toki, but there's no relationship that I can discover. Takanotsuru, much the heavier of the 2 wrestlers. The last basho he fought in was in the Judo division, so he's moved up to the top division. Kobo, a man who's in and out between the Judo and the Makuuchi division. Not quite strong enough to stay in the Makuuchi division for any length of time. With all the injuries and the dropouts from various wrestlers, this has given men like Kobo a chance to come back into the top division. But there it's Takanotsuru, does very classical sumo there, belt sumo, yotsu sumo it's called, as he nudges Kobo over the edge with yorikiri. With Takanotsuru's doing well, that was his 3rd win. Next out we have Jumonji against Kasugao. Kasugao here, 25 years old, 151 kilos, Jumonji 153. So weight evenly spread between the 2 of them. Not too much of a head-banging start there. Looking for the belt. Finally, both of them settle in on the belt. That's 4 hands on the belt. That's classical sumo, and there's the big lift. Doesn't quite come off. There's a twist round. And back almost to the center again. This is where the sumo stamina tells. But it's eventually it's Kasugao who gets the win there with yorikiri as he forces Jumonji over the edge. In theory, these wrestlers should be able to wrestle for quite a long time in training. They sometimes have as many as 100 or even 200 training bouts, one after the other. But when you see them fight, they fairly often run out of steam quite quickly. Now Gojoro fights Kasuganishiki. Gojoro takes his time, settles down, leads with a head, almost slapped down by Kasuganishiki. It's quite open now. Kasuganishiki coming back with the tsupari attacks, the pushes and slaps to the upper body. As Gojoro staggering all over the place, finally locks in with his grip, throws the stomach in, and that's enough to nudge Kasuganishiki over the edge. Another yorikiri win by Gojoro over newcomer Kasuganishiki. Next out we have Takamisakari, great crowd pleaser here in Japan, against Tamanoshima. Takamisakari first off the line there, but it's Tamanoshima who locks in tight and powers forward. Takamisakari struggling there, wasn't really in that fight at all. Tamanoshima takes his 2nd win, and that was 2nd loss for Takami. Or first loss, I should say, for Takamisakari. Well, as I mentioned at the start of the program, one theory is that some of these wrestlers' stomachs are too weak, and that therefore throws a lot of strain on their backs, where they pick up a lot of injuries. And with some of the wrestlers who have rather huge, large stomachs, so one can appreciate that stomach exercises, crunches, sit-ups might be very difficult for them. Well, that's the theory of an exercise physiologist attached to the Sumo Association. Akinoshima and Nadaka Mawashi on the left fights Kotoryu. Well, these 2 old-timers have fought each other many times. Akinoshima there trying a big arching backward uchari type move, but Kotoryu leans on him too much, and that drops Akinoshima to the ground. So win there for Kotoryu. That gives him 4 straight wins. He's up at the head of the pack. Next out, Wakanoyama, Young Mountain, fights Hokutoriki, who was named by his Oyakata after Takanotsuru, since his Oyakata very much admired the great fighter, Takanotsuru. Well, Wakanoyama looked as though he was going to be driven over the edge there at the start of that bout, but he came back and pushed Hokutoriki over the edge with oshidashi. Well, into the crouch there, makes the gesture with his hands, but no prize money on the referee's fan, the gumbai as it's called. Now we have Kyokushuzan, Mongolian. Well, he's slipped behind in the popularity stakes of the Mongolian wrestlers. It's Asa Shoryu way in the lead, followed by Kyokutenho and Kyokushuzan at number 3. That's the popularity in Mongolia, where they're very famous men. So Kyokushuzan against Tochinonada. Weight-wise, Kyokushuzan some 20 kilos lighter, but there receives the charge of Tochinonada, immediately reverses from push to pull, and he drops Tochinonada down with hikiotoshi. That's Kyokushuzan's 2nd win and 5th straight loss for Tochinonada. He's having a pretty bad basho this time. Mongolian Asa Shoryu practicing against the wall there. He'll be fighting Takanonami, the last bout of day 4. Takanonami not looking too cheerful. Well, it's a full house here in Japan. It's a good shot of the dohyo, the sacred ring. Quite a lot of tons of clay there. So Kaiho, lightweight Kaiho, 122 kilos, fights lightweight Aminishiki at 124. So 2 quite small rikishi. Kaiho, very skillful wrestler. He's beaten a lot of good men. He's been in this top division despite his lower weight for quite a long time. Well, that was a nice combination of throws there. Spun him over, but he assisted. He balanced on one leg and he spun him over with the other leg. Let's watch that. Bit like Uchimata of judo. But in sumo, it's called kakenage, so very skillfully done there by Kaiho. That keeps him in the lead with 4 straight wins. And 3rd loss for Aminishiki. Tokitsuumi, 134 kilos, small wrestler, fights Iwakiyama, 170, quite a big weight difference between these two. Iwakiyama right back from the line. Tokitsuumi closes in, but it's Iwakiyama who receives the charge and then reverses from stop to pull, and down goes Tokitsuumi from the overarm grip of Iwakiyama. Uwatenage win there by the bigger wrestler. One-time tournament winner coming out now, Dejima. And he's against Shimotori. Weight-wise, Dejima, 15 or so kilos heavier. Looks the heavier of the two, around the middle there. Locks in tight, does those belly thrusts, gaburi. And that's enough to knock Shimotori over the edge. Yoritaoshi win there for Dejima. Dejima comes out hard and fast, that's his trademark. He's very good at moving forward, powering from his legs. And then he disposes of Shimotori quite spectacularly over the edge of the dohyo. As the day wears on, we're going up the ranks. Next out, it's Komusubi ranked Wakanosato, and he's against Kotonowaka. Wakanosato 160 kilos, Kotonowaka 175. Had a good tournament last time, did Kotonowaka, had 10 wins. Wakanosato only had 7. But as you can see, Kotonowaka's got a heavily taped up left knee. Now Wakanosato powering in there, staying in close, sticking in tight to the bigger wrestler. And it's Kotonowaka who tries that kime hold on the arm, that standing arm lock, but Wakanosato snatches it out, drives him back and trips him. So Wate Dashinagi win there for Wakanosato. Third win for him, and he's got one loss as well. Now Tosanumi coming out, 162 against Takanonoka. He's been doing well so far. Previous tournament he had 11 wins. And well, a little bit of verbal there from Tosanumi. Takanonoka distinctly jumped the guns. Very quick fist down, left fist of Takanonoka, but it's the overarm throw that spins Takanonoka over, uwatenage. Takanonoka looked a bit unsettled there after he was stopped on his initial charge, and Tosanumi, unruffled, disposed of him quite easily. Well, it's this bout would have been Miyabiyama against Kodomitsuki, but Miyabiyama hurt his ankle on day 3, so he's pulled out. It'll take him 2 or 3 months to recover. It's a diagnosis. And it's Kodomitsuki who takes the win. Down the flower path of Hanamichi comes Asashoryu. Looks supremely confident. And behind him, one of his attendants. So there's that little sign says who's sitting out. This one, Musashimaru's out, Takanohana's out, Chiyotaikai's out, Kaiho's out. They're falling like flies. But it's only the tough that stay in there. There's Takanonami, he'll be fighting Asashoryu in a few bouts' time. Mongolian now, Kyokutenho. At an average basho last time, only he had 7 wins. Tochiazuma did marginally better, had 8 wins. Tochiazuma suffering a bit in the last year or so. But there's that long overarm grip of Kyokutenho's, another overarm grip that spins Tochiazuma. That's 4 straight losses now for the Ozeki. He's having a very rough time of it. And for Kyokutenho, that was his 3rd win. And also a little bit of prize money. In those money envelopes, 60,000 yen. Good half of it goes in various directions. A little bit of money goes to the yobidashi, the announcers, taxes taken off, sorts of bits and pieces deducted, and they end up with 30,000. Now we have Musayama against Toki. Musayama comes out with a loud grunt there, but stopped in his tracks by Toki, but unable to stop the surge after the first slam. The first Atari, and Musayama powers him out with yorikiri. Second win for Musayama, 5th straight loss for Toki. And now the concluding bout, Musubi no Ban. It's Mongolian Asashoryu who's got 4 straight wins. Takanonami with 2 wins. Well, Takanonami said in the past that he burns when he fights the foreigners. When he said that, he meant the Hawaiian, the Pacific Islanders. But this man, Asashoryu, is a gaijin rikishi, that's to say a foreign rikishi. So let's see whether the tall Takanonami can handle the much smaller Mongolian Ozeki. Well, a very careful start there. In fact, it was Takanonami who delayed the second hand going down. He had one hand down, but he was too slow on the second one. The wrestlers have to touch down at the same time. See how carefully there Takanonami puts his hands down. Asashoryu goes in deep. Takanonami tries the arm lock throw, the kakenage, but he gets spun over easily at the side by Asashoryu. This man is really showing some Yokozuna power and technique. Let's watch that one again. Well, after the initial Tsuppari attacks to the upper body, there's the grip that goes in deep. Then there's that lock round by Takanonami, trying the kakenage. That's one of his techniques. But when they get to the edge, it's the power of Asa Shoryu that spins the much bigger man over. 4 straight wins for Asa Shoryu. Well, every bout, this man seems to get stronger and stronger, and yet he's only 137 kilos. He's some 20 kilos lighter than the average wrestler in this top division. At the end of day 4, we have 3 wrestlers in the lead with 4 straight wins. It's Asa Shoryu, Kaiho and Kotoryu. And then after that, 8 wrestlers with 3 wins and 1 loss. This is Asa Shoryu being interviewed by the Japanese media in the Shitakubeya. Stay with us. We'll be back very shortly with day 5.